Hello, good afternoon. How's everybody today? How's day 3 of the con? Is everybody awake from the party last night? All right, welcome to the LGBTQIA plus rep panel. I'm gonna bring out our panelists and then I will introduce them. Just a brief, give them their names.
Hubba bubba amount of gum. Yeah.
Thank you, whoever provided these Tic Tac gums.
I know.
Thank you.
I took all the gums.
Yeah.
Now I'm on the table, guys. It's my first panel.
Scoot this way.
Oh yeah, I'm coming next to me.
I don't know.
Bye. Should we all come close with me?
I'll see you.
All right. So we have on the end here Emily Gutierrez. She's the writer, director, producer of Italian 101.
Woo!
We have Valerie Anne, who is writer extraordinaire for Autostrato. Right? Watcher of all things TV. We have Noelle Carbone, a writer on Wynonna Earp. Yes. Best writer on Wynonna Earp. And, of course, the woman in charge of it all, Emily Andras. So we're going to do a land acknowledgement first. We'd like to acknowledge that we are in the traditional territory of many nations, including Acknowledgment. I'm going to butcher these, I'm sorry. And Huron Wendat, the ancestral land on which we stand, is home to many indigenous people, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to be here on their land.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm Shelbie. I am one of the board directors for LGBT Fans Deserve Better. If you don't know who we are, the Support Positive rep shirts like Valerie Anne is wearing right there, that's us. We are a non-profit, all-volunteer organization that tries to work to raise awareness of representation and why it's important and how we can work towards getting better about it. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, starting. So can I start with like nerdy stats? Is that cool?
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Okay.
Nerd it up. That's why we're
Nerd it up.
So we all are pretty aware, I think most people are aware that 2016 was a really bad year for LGBT rep and all of the character deaths, and that kind of raised some awareness. So then last year we actually only had 12 by our count. We generally count June to June, so we count like a running TV season instead of a calendar year. But we are already at 5, and we are 2 months into this television season. So 2 weeks ago we had 4 in 1 week.
Oh, Jesus.
So I guess first we can start about kind of talking about the trends that you guys have maybe, I guess from a writer perspective, I don't know. Are you aware of those trends, or do you keep track of them and try to keep aware of them? And then you guys down there, like what have you seen and how does it affect the work that you're doing?
I mean, you guys, because of the job that you do, you watch more stuff than we do. I feel, I guess I can only speak for myself. I kind of live in my bubble where I work a lot and then watch what people are telling me to watch, what your site's telling me to watch. So I only know what I see, and then sometimes there's Twitter outrage that's very clear that then I go, oh, that's why everyone's mad. But so I'm in a bit of a bubble, so I don't always, I didn't actually know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same with me. I definitely knew 2016 was a terrible, terrible year. It was impossible to ignore. But I'm shocked to hear those statistics for this year, to be totally honest.
I'm 5 already.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What about you?
We at Auto Shuttle, we have a TV team, so I'm really lucky that I get exposure to a lot of the shows that I don't have time to watch. So we have a chat that we're just constantly updating each other on the shows that we're watching, and so it is I did notice that in the past few weeks there have been a sudden uptick in character deaths because we keep track of all that. So it was definitely it almost felt like people were like, "Oh, a year's passed. We can kill them all now, right? It's fine now."
Oh man.
It was very alarming. We were like, wait, no, we didn't. No, this isn't how we wanted this to
It's
go.
not fixed.
Yeah.
It's not over.
So we just temporarily forgot about it. It's okay, right?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed.
For me, in 2016, I did know that it was really bad, but actually I didn't know that it was still bad until Shelbie told me that earlier today, and I was pretty shocked.
We also actually have seen a difference in characters. So there are 80 less characters last year, like women-loving women characters. There are 80 less women-loving women characters in last TV season than the year before. So it's kind of like...
Where'd they all go?
ABC lost 18. Netflix lost 22.
Just walk into a parking lot and disappear.
Yeah, exactly. Are they all
got on
together
the wrong
having the
bus.
greatest party that we should go to? Yeah, exactly. I wish that was true. I wish that was true. Yeah.
From an industry perspective, do you think that there's, because of the backlash of 2016, there was an uptick in like, oh, we have to do rep, and then kind of now everybody's a little afraid of how to tell those stories? Do you think maybe that's what's happening?
That's such a good question that I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say anytime you get a finger pointed at you and someone telling you you're not doing a good job, especially like from a network perspective where those optics are really important, in the US, they seem to care more than they do here. I would say, not to be cynical, but I would say, yeah, that is probably why there were more. But that doesn't mean that those stories clearly were being told more responsibly or in a better way, or that those characters were three-dimensional characters who were fully fleshed. I think if you can lose that many, they probably weren't integral enough to your show to begin with.
Yeah, that's my fear a little bit, is like, it's almost like this cute trend for some people, and I'm like, it's not a trend, these are real people, and this is real representation, and this needs to be what it is going forward. So I think there was a little bit of a sense from some networks, one day at a time, that maybe it was like, well, we gave you some candy and then you ate the candy and now there's no more candy left. And I'm like, it's not candy. Like, we love candy. How dare you? I think it's both things. I think it's both like, well, we can just throw in a bunch of LGBTQ characters and like, that'll feed the masses. But also the other fears, I do think there is a little bit of a resistance, particularly potentially from writers who are older or more established, that they're like, well, I'm so terrified to wade in here and tell these stories that I'm just not going to tell these stories or include these characters at all. But that's just bullshit. You just have to learn to be better, maybe, and try harder.
Be more creative.
Yeah, be more creative.
Do you
Retire.
Yeah, retire.
Do you think that there's a way that we can use Wynonna Earp as a little bit of kind of like a flagship saying, listen, you can tell queer stories and you can tell them with drama? What I hear a lot, I feel like from writers is, well, I mean, you don't want any bad reps, so then we can't tell any stories because we can't have any bad storylines. But Wynonna Earp kind of, you guys have been proving that you can have the drama and you can tell the stories and then still treat your characters with respect. So do you have any idea how we could get that information into like a more of a way where it could be digestible by executives or showrunners or other writers?
Yeah, I mean, I think just tell everybody to watch the show. I mean, like, come on, everybody, tell you, everybody. I mean, for me, it comes back to making sure that your queer characters aren't secondary or tertiary to the main characters. Like, I think the fact that when Emily built this world, you know, the queer characters became... What? Team effort, yes. Team effort, whatever. I wasn't even here. I just got here. The fact that you can, you know, have an episode where, you know, where Wynonna's sister's girlfriend can be in the entire A story with her, like that is a testament to the fact that you know, Nicole, or if you have a story with, you know, with Doc and Jeremy, like those characters are fundamental to the lifeblood of the series. They're not just somebody you go out to for a kissing scene so you can tick the box and say, you know, we did our rep, we did our good job, you know, and pat ourselves on the back. I think if more shows did that, then the drama would be inherent. Like if when you created those characters, you thought how they related to everybody on your show, not just the person they were sleeping with or smooching with, then I think that would be, you would just give yourself more opportunity for drama because those characters are real and they matter to more people than just their partner. Right?
And then your only options for drama aren't relationship drama because you have so many other relationships and you can tell so many other sides of the story, and it's a lot more exciting that way.
If they're actual characters, yeah. If they're only the gay character, then
Right.
you can't. You have no other
girlfriend.
story to tell than their drama. I guess their relationship drama.
Their sexuality can't just be their story. It has to be intrinsic to their character, but their whole story can't just be I'm gay all the time. Although it's not the worst. But like,
I would also say that I think as writers and producers and people in the industry, we are conditioned, because it's the way we came up, because it's what TV has always been, that the thing that's the most dramatic is loss and tragedy. And I think we undervalue how much emotion and how much drama a queer audience can get out of a happy ending, because it isn't the standard, So I think we need to put more value in happy endings for queer characters, and not just go, well, for straight characters, a happy ending, like who cares? We should probably kill somebody. Like maybe we could have happy ending every once in a while. So
yeah.
And to sort of go back to what you were saying about like Wynonna Earp being a flagship, it's why like sometimes the running joke on the Auto Shuttle TV team is like, oh, I bet Valerie's going to bring up Wynonna Earp on this roundtable again, because it's true that it's yes, I'm definitely biased because I love the show, but it's also true that there are so many things that you can point to. It's like, well, okay, so this show failed us, but look how Wynonna Earp did a similar thing and succeeded at it. Like this, like it's so kind of always pointing those things out to hopefully to get on like future TV writers, future like people who are reading TV recaps and things now that will go on to create, like have it kind of in the back of their mind.
I hope so. For me, I'm impatient though. Like the one thing I want, which we're not quite there yet, is like it would be good to have a world where you can also have like queer villains. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to get to the point where like we have our heroes, so then we can have awesome LGBTQ like villains and complicated people, and we just need more of everything. Do you know what I mean? And then it's going to be more fully rounded. But I'm not completely sure we're there yet.
I think Gentleman Jack is making at least a little bit of a stride, because as much as we all want to love her, she's not exactly the greatest person in the world either.
Villanelle.
Villanelle, yeah, that's a good one.
Villanelle, yeah.
That one's
fine, all right, I gave that.
That's a little
but then you get
enemies to friends.
Then you get into the situation though where you're like, we have this amazing part, and it would be great to cast this character or to write this character as a queer character, but ultimately the bad guys die generally, and so then you're like, well, so if we're a show that has really good rep, is it okay if we kill? If we write this amazing part for an amazing queer character, but then at the end they have to die. So then that's an added level of, if we had made real sustainable progress since 2016, maybe, but the fact that we haven't means that I don't know that I mean, it's
temporal.
As of right now, there's still a very fine line between like a queer villain and villainizing queerness. Like it's,
that's so true. Yeah.
That's a good way to put that. I think, though, that there's, from like a straight statistics point of view, somebody's going to be crazy, somebody's going to die, all of those things. So if you have enough to balance it, I think that's how you do that. So if you have 4 gay characters and you kill one, from like our objective scoring system, you'd still have a really positive score because you'd have enough positive to balance out the thing that you're doing. So
it's still scary as hell though. Like, even if you I don't know, it still would give me hives.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we have a superhero like shoots people in the face. I just like do not think that's a good plan at this stage. Like, no, I just like honestly, I think about it all the time. It's like I just want it to move faster. Do you feel like that? Like for diversity in general? I'm just like,
absolutely.
If it moves faster, then there's going to be more roles for people who are queer too. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the other truth. Like the actors I know who are LGBTQ are like, I just want to do everything, right? Like I want to play Bobo Del Rey. I want to play everything. So,
yeah.
It's an interesting argument because we want queer people playing queer roles and queer writers writing queer stories, but at the end of the day, you want queer actors to be able to just play anything, right? The same way that we wouldn't want anyone else to get boxed in. So that's kind of it's an interesting argument, I feel like, that's happening right now in the industry.
It is, but at least we're having it. At least we're talking about it.
We're having the discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you can't really ask. Like, I was just on a show where I was like, it would be great to get like a queer actor to play this role, but you can't ask. So unless you know, and you don't always know, like how do you do that? Like,
because you can't not hire them because they're not queer or hire them. That's tough. So normally they do fan questions at the end, but because we're kind of leading into it, I'm going to do it a little backwards because I got some fan questions offline. So Purgatory Feminists ask, in a show like Wynonna Earp that does have some LGBT representation, fans often request specific minorities to additionally be represented. How do you avoid tokenism when writing while still creating diverse characters?
I mean,
wait. Let's let Emily answer this. You're also producing and creating characters, so like, and you're doing it from a diverse perspective. So, how do you avoid tokenism in your projects? We'll start down there and work this way.
To avoid tokenism, I think I just have to tell my own authentic story. Being someone who is a person of color and queer, I can only tell like my truth and the truth of my friends who are also POC, and I think that is what does it. Like the authenticity, the nuances of our lives, and putting that into the film.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So maybe the answer is just having people who can tell the story from their perspective in the writing room and in the background.
Or talking to people who have a diverse experience and being like...
Having them included in some sort of the process.
In the storytelling process, I think so.
Anything else?
I don't know that there's ever been a character on the show that felt two-dimensional. So I think were the world to expand, I wouldn't be worried that anybody would be brought in and be a token of anything, really. So
thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hire me for season 6 and 7 and 8.
We got to kill that flat stand.
Valerie, in all of the reading and researching and watching that you do you find that there are specific tokenism like boxes that get hit worse than others? Do you have any recognition of any specific ones?
I mean, it's always hard when there's like a lot of TV shows fall into the trap of having like the big gay episodes. So then they just like, they're not writing three-dimensional characters. So they're just like, oh, I've heard these 3 things about lesbians. So like, here they are on the screen. Congratulations. Instead of like...
1, can breathe underwater.
Yeah, what are those 3 things?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what are they?
Yeah. So instead of like writing a character and have lesbian be part of their character, it's like that is the only point, the reason they put them on the show, and that's very obvious, especially as a queer viewer. Like it's very obvious when that's all they wanted to do. And I think that it's the same for really any minority, that if you're just trying to check a box, it's gonna read like that. Like we're not stupid as viewers. Like we're gonna.
It's just like a lot of pressure on any character to represent an entire group of people too. Do you know what I mean? Like that's one of the pleasures I talk about with Wynonna and having so many female characters and gay characters is like, Waverly and Nicole are very different people, I think. And Wynonna and Nicole are very different people, and Jeremy's very different from Waverly. So that helps a lot. It's just being able to represent different types of people who just happen to share a sexuality, kind of like heterosexual people have been on TV forever. They're not all the same.
To me, they are.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't tell the difference.
Exactly. That's fine. That's typical for you. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest joys for me about the show is like I didn't have to write a female character who represented all female characters or all lesbians or all East Indian scientists, or what have you. So, or all murder trees. They're all different, each and every one.
That's why there's so many of them.
That's why there's so many. Just a rich backstory. Yeah.
I will say, having worked on shows where the producers, not necessarily the showrunner, but the gatekeepers outside of the story room weren't committed necessarily to positive representation, didn't really give a shit at all. Sometimes, as a queer writer in the room, the only thing you could get was the super gay episode. So there's like, pushing to have one story in a 22 episode season be about queer characters. Like, I mean, it's what's so great about writing on this show is that when you go into a story room and you pitch, I was on previous jobs having to pitch a really great story and also having to justify that story being told through queer characters, and it's exhausting because it's basically saying to me like, sorry, I have to now justify my experience and go like, no, it is really important for me to see myself represented. And other writers don't have to do that. And so there were some shows where I was like, if I can only get it in, if I wear them down for one episode and that episode is the gayest episode of the show that's ever been on television, sometimes it's all you can get. But
I do think it's more obvious when like queer people are telling those, even if they are a big gay episode, like if it was done for the right reasons, and it is like, because this is the only representation they'll let us squeeze in versus like, oh, we're just going to check this.
Are you aware that there's an interesting trope that always happens during Sweeps Week, though?
Oh, really? Yeah, they only go gay for like March. Like what's in the water in March?
So for anyone who doesn't understand, Sweeps Week is when they like sell advertising, and so they try to get their ratings to like spike up. Yeah. And so a lot of times we find statistically that they'll play the gay episode during that week because they know they'll get an uptick in queer viewership. So they bait out the queer episode, and then they get all the additional queer viewership. We're giving it to them. They use that to get their ad dollars, and then the queer storyline never comes back.
So here's what you do. Don't watch the episode. Wait for the clips to come out on YouTube. Some nice, friendly gay person will put them all together. And then just watch that a million times over and over and over. But not on Wynonna.
Yeah, but you don't have a Sweeps Week episode.
No, we don't have a Sweeps.
What's a Sweeps?
We don't have a Sweeps. We don't know. That's why the whole thing's gay. Because we're like, we don't know what it's going to be.
So... I think that maybe this came up in the writers' panel too, but something about how you balance what the audience wants versus telling, because you're writing this drama, so you have to have the drama. So how do you balance what the audience wants? And you can answer this too from down here.
We're fine. No, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
We're totally cool.
Balancing what you clearly know that the audience wants to see, with also telling stories and doing it. Telling stories that you want to tell.
You want me to go first? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think what's an interesting fact about me is that I don't think I have there were any way hot scenes in any of the 2 episodes that I wrote last year. Boo! And I know that that's what a lot of people want to see. And for me coming into the show, like as a queer writer, what I was interested in and what everybody was interested in is they are so clearly established in their relationship. And I was sort of interested in who Nicole was independent of her relationship. And the fact that the show can let you do that and can let you explore that, like I think... So I'm not Emily, and when people don't like what's on Wynonna, they don't come and yell at me. Nor should you yell at Emily.
That's fine.
But
you already tried to get a boo going because you didn't get way hot. No, I thought you were like, boo, I didn't get the stories I wanted.
No, I didn't pitch. Like, I pitched stories about Nicole's arc independently of Waverly, and Waverly's arc independently of Nicole. And so I think you just gotta stay true to who those characters are. I mean, I do think, you gotta give, people are watching your show, you should give them, I never understood the thing of like, we're not gonna give people what they want because then they'll keep watching. And then eventually during Sweeps Week, we'll give them what they want. Like, I think, this is clearly a community unlike any other. And so there is some reciprocity here. You give us your eyeballs and you make things like this. Fucking crazy. And then, we try to give you kind of what you want, but at the end of the day, like these characters are who they are, and it's important to tell their story as whole individuals, fully fleshed individuals, and not just always necessarily write relationship scenes.
Mm-hmm. It's more almost like the how we're going to give it to you, always. I just think like I want the journey to be a surprise and exciting, and like the truth is, people hate this, but it is a drama, right? Like I want you to feel all the things, the despair, the tragedy, the laughter, the crying, so that maybe when we do get to the happy ending, it's just like the best tasting cake of all time, right? So it's still storytelling, right? It's still got to have adventure and drama and romance. We just want to do it with queer characters. So
lots of them.
Yeah. I hired you because I thought you were gnome curious.
That was one time.
I do think there are other shows too that, like, I was thinking when you said like giving people what they want, I was thinking of how Jane the Virgin saw people like shipping Petra and Jane, and seeing that and like knowing they couldn't do that for what they had planned for Jane's story, but being like, but we can give Petra a new Jane. Like it was like a nice like compromise. Like the audience really loves Petra and really wants her to be queer. Like and why there's no story reason we can't. And so they it was sort of like a nod to the audience. Like we want to tell our story, but we want you to be heard also. I thought that was a nice balance.
That was so great. It was really well done.
Yeah. Except all the barrier gates. Sorry.
Yeah.
True. The thing Valerie said was great. Other stuff was not Jane the Virgin. That was not specific to you. But
there's an interesting kind of shift more recently with social media where audiences can have that direct connection with the showrunners in a way that they could never have before.
I hadn't noticed.
What's that called?
I think about this a lot from like if you thought about like an artist painting a painting, you wouldn't walk up and be like, you can't use that color. But that's kind of what fans are trying to do to writers and showrunners because it's an art form. You're creating art.
Yeah.
So how do you think that that's kind of changed and affected the way that you work and the way that content is created? Sorry, hard question.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Like, I'll be honest, it's hard. I love Twitter. I don't know if you've noticed. I love it. I love the engagement. I love the family we've made. I love that it feels like our show. I love watching the show together. I get a great deal of joy of engaging with you all. I do not think that's for every artist at all, and I say that to people. Twitterless Matt is here, looking fine. But he ain't going to be on Twitter. So get your Matt today, guys. Get it today in person. It is terrifying, and I definitely feel people are demanding. And I feel like also the irony is the more popular your show is and the more people fall in love with the art, the more people seek to define the art according to what they think the art is. I'm actually really fascinated in that moment in the zeitgeist where like a piece of art feels like it moves from the author to the fans, like Star Wars or Harry Potter. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like it feels like now J.K. Rowling will do some stuff and people are like, no, boo, which is fine. It's such a tough balance. I think you'll know if people are unhappy because they will stop consuming your art. Do you know what I mean? Like that's almost the only true ultimate measure I feel like I can take. If I start taking too many specifics, not every Earper even wants the same thing. You know, not every fan has the same complaint or the same thought. And that's also kind of joyous in a way that everybody has different opinions about it. It's definitely changed things. I mean, for me personally, it's all about respect, remembering that people are just creating stuff. You have every right to stop watching. That's what I always say, or turn it off. You can complain or you can just leave. It's definitely tricky, though. I can't pretend it's not a whole new world, you know, of engagement. What do you think?
Merging that into like LGBT rep, how do you feel about, there's a lot of showrunners now and writers and actors and things that are talking about the fact that characters are queer on social media, but they're not actually representing. Valerie, you can talk about, you have a way that you kind of like screen test this. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I call it the dad test. So basically, because my dad and I watch a lot of the same TV shows, but he's not on Twitter. He's not consuming like TV criticism like I am. And so if he can't tell a character is queer just from watching the show, then it doesn't count. No. Like it can't.
Yeah, that sounds true. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's hard to, when you are so active on Twitter, it's hard to remember that like, oh, like, and it's usually not until I'm talking to my dad that I realize, like, oh, right, that is only things that I've seen from the writers on Twitter, or like, oh, that is only like a deleted scene I got to see because I follow the producer, like, so it's interesting to see it.
If it's subtext, it's not text, right?
Exactly.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Nothing smart's like a deleted scene, you guys. When you're just like, why you could have deleted any of the 800 other scenes that were the couple we see all the time. Yeah.
There's been a couple of shows that actually specifically put ads out for scenes and then delete them and then release them to fans afterwards to kind of like quell the uproar a bit, actually. So
wouldn't that just make everybody more mad? Like, I'm furious hearing this, and this is the first time I've heard it, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to do. That sucks. That sucks.
I feel like you have every right as an audience to call bullshit on that, though.
Yeah.
It's true. There's like the one.
Is Valerie's dad here? Don't say bullshit in front of Valerie's dad.
Shelbie.
Oh.
All right, let's see. So we'll do another fan question from Alice Warren. To everyone, what would you like to see happen in the future in terms of representation in the industry?
Definitely more queer storytellers, 100%. Like, if you can't do it, get out of the way, like you said. I think more people telling their own story, which is like the number one thing I want you to take away if you do a writing workshop. Please tell your own stories, like tell your own truth. Just like we've had a million hetero stories for years, we just need more stories in general. What do you want to see more of?
I would like to see more. I think we're good at telling stories in Canada and the US of feminine, of center women in relationship with each other. I think that came out of needing to slide one by the network and going like, and because she's still feminine hot. Yeah, wow. and male gaze, right? Like I think to a certain extent, most of the gatekeepers are straight white dudes, and so
it's digestible. And two very feminine women being together is digestible by the masses.
Exactly. And I think that was fine when we were like trying really, really hard to get one gay thing through and on screen. And now I just don't think that's good enough. And so I personally would like to see just a broader spectrum of what this community is represented on screen. I think that would be great. And great.
Yeah, definitely more, just overall, just more. But yeah, more. And
quality over quantity, though, I think.
Well, yes, but yeah, and more different story, and like use different looking stories, like different. It's sort of like we've been talking a lot about the new L Word that's coming out at Autostraddle, and thinking about how the first L Word was a lot of mostly feminine, mostly white, cis people. Lesbians. And then the new one, they've been starting to announce some people of color and some trans people playing trans people, and like, and I don't know that the show's going to be great, but at least it seems like it's heading in the right direction, which is, I wish that more shows that weren't only about queerness also kind of shifted in that direction.
I like to see more queer women of color. I think the last time I saw two queer women in a movie of color was Saving Face, and that's a very long time ago.
Movie,
and I can't think of anything more recently that came out, so I'd like to see more of that.
World Unseen or World Unseen.
That's a long time ago too.
Yeah,
also a long time ago.
I think that I would really like to see a character that looks like me, that isn't just a cop or just isn't you can still have short hair and still be feminine. You can still just because I wear masculine clothes doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be like a bro, or I can still be just as much of a woman with short hair as I can without.
Absolutely.
And I think that those are stories that we have a hard time telling because it's not as digestible to the male gaze-ness of our executives.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But they're you know what I would do? And I would go to every film school, everyone in Toronto that's teaching writing, and I would say, I want you to prioritize all the applicants who aren't represented in story rooms. So and I don't know about people I know there's a big thing about self-identifying when you apply for things, but like anybody who's not like a straight white dude, like top of the list. Anybody who, is not the typical, I would love to see, gender non-binary people. I would love to see, just get them into these schools so that when we go looking for representation and to hire more, we know where to find them, and we know who they are, and they've been trained, and then we can like scoop them up and then like turn them into the next showrunner, because
that's huge. Yeah, just getting people into the pipeline. And same with acting, I think too. Like we desperately need more trans actors. Like I want to cast trans, but like it's tricky, right? Which sounds like an excuse, and it's not. I'm just like, can every single trans kid in high school go into acting, please? No, honestly, I think that's it, right? We need to accelerate. Yeah.
All right, I have a fan question specifically for Emily down there. Sorry, two Emilys on the same panel. Tough. All right.
Take it easy.
From Patricia at the show.
from Patricia right there.
You want to ask your own question? Would you like
front row at awesomeherper.com.
Would you like to ask your own question?
Woo!
So I know that you have Short Poly Talent 101.
Yes.
That won awards at Short Film Festival in Toronto.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I found out about that when I went looking for where can I watch a Talent 101. I did not find. So
Right.
in the interest of consuming more BT content, more PLC content, where can I find it?
I will let you know once I'm done with the film festival stuff.
Good.
We will happily retweet that.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
out. Yes.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks, Patricia.
We have a few more minutes. Is there anyone in the room that would like to ask a question?
Yeah, come on up. Someone back there?
Yep.
Yeah, stand on up. Stand on up.
You.
Do it.
There's a mic.
There's a
right
mic.
there.
Yeah, if we could get her a mic, that would be amazing.
Old Platy.
Yeah.
Calgary Platy. Right
Right
at the back.
in the back, in the middle.
Take your moment. Seize
my God.
it.
Mustache,
Do
bow
it.
tie. Yeah.
Mustache, bow tie. There could be more than one in this.
This is a little more than I was banking on. So as like a huge Lost Girl fan too. Thank you. And you guys are talking about not villainizing the queer characters and going back to Vex,
Right.
who was definitely very proudly quear, and the
Yeah.
redemption
He
arc
was up
that
for
you
everything.
gave him to make us love him, and the fact that like he just got more queer as the show went on. Do you feel like Lost Girl and the emotional conflicts that Bo and Vex went through looking for their relationships and their lasting loves gave you a bigger platform to start this off of? Like, do you feel like that put you in a spotlight, or that people kind of looked at you and went, whoa, you know?
Right. So I'm going to do this 2 parts. Oh, Shelly left. She wrote for Lost Girl, too. I was going to give her a shout out. So Vex, yes, awesome. So Lost Girl absolutely changed my life. There is no way Wynonna Earp would exist without Lost Girl. Hashtag Michelle Lavretta for creating that show. Yeah. But the trick about Vex, very knowingly, was like, you already love Vex, and then we were like, P.S. he's super queer, which is like good and seems like manipulative, but that is an example of like, believe it or not, Lost Girl was not an easy show to steer the way we wanted it to go. There was a lot of opposition to what was ultimately the best plan, which was like Bo and Lauren endgame, right? 100%. Like, yeah. But like many battles. Yeah, many battles along the way. So like it was all about picking your battles, and like Paul Amos was such an incredible performer. And again, that wasn't actually revisionist, just to be clear. Like Paul always knew, we always knew, but in the same way, maybe when you're more comfortable with your family or your social group, and you know you become more comfortable living your truth, I hope it certainly felt earned with Vex, you know what I mean? And like, again, that was a great example of a character who is incredibly complicated. Like sometimes I say for better, for worse, I think Will and Grace did more for the queer community among the Midwest, for example, and the average, you know, network viewer than a lot of TV shows. And those were very complicated characters. Some may find them caricatures, and that's fine, but people loved those characters. They fell in love with those characters. They did not fear those characters. They wanted to be with those characters, right? Thank you so much. Honestly, I am telling, you're upset. Am I saying good things or bad things? I feel so bad. Listen, honestly, okay, good. Listen, like, Lost Girl absolutely changed my life. I will cry because it's day 3. Like, Lost Girl changed my life. And it was such a brave show, and I'm so proud of it. And, like, it just made me personally learn that, like, for me, that those were the things that I was not going to compromise on. Do you know what I mean? Just for me personally. And there's so much you have to compromise on so much of the time, but, like, it was just never going to be, Wynonna was never going to be anything but what it was as far as LGBTQ rep. So thank you. Yeah. Always a bad sign. I'm so sorry.
Don't I have till 2:15? Okay. No?
Guys, we own this room. We're all there. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else?
So I guess, well,
Yes, go ahead. Sunshine, do you have a question? Yeah.
Here comes the
Sorry,
mic.
I
Here
should
comes
not
the
be in
mic.
charge of pointing out questions, but I should be in charge of nothing.
has to be very quick, sorry.
Hi. So if you could bring in another like LGBTQA like character from a different show to spice things up a bit. Ooh. Wynonna Earp, who would you bring in?
Lena Luthor is who I would bring in. Just sheer pandering.
She's not actually an LGBTQ.
I don't know if you know this, Emily, but she's straight.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing with the dad test is sometimes your dad watches TV and is like, oh, those two are girlfriends. And you're like, no, actually, they're both straight.
Yeah, when Monel left Supergirl. When Monel left Supergirl, my dad...
That was not a fair answer. That was crowd pleaser.
That is an interesting point that you made, Noelle, though, about like, if the subtext is so thick that straight people are like, are they dating? Then there's
my dad literally, when Monel left the show, my dad was like, I'm excited because now Kara can get with that Luthor girl. And I was like,
oh my God.
I don't think,
Can your dad get on the writing staff? Yeah. Just kidding. I love you, Supergirl writers. Who would you bring?
Oh, God. I don't know. I would just put them all in like a bus and just drive them over. Purgatory Pride!
All of them for Purgatory Pride. Just everybody getting off the bus for Purgatory Pride, yeah.
I think it'd almost be funny to bring like a One Day at a Time in, but they're super no guns and everything's proper, and they would be like, what is happening with the drinking and the
Oh, they would clean it up. That would be amazing. Yeah.
I think it would be a very funny episode.
Yeah.
What does your sign say? We're in trouble?
2 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Purgatory Pride, you know what would be awesome? Yeah. Is if, because supernatural and sci-fi, is if we did get a bus, but it was all the queer women who'd been killed off of other shows, and we put them on a bus, and we brought the bus to Purgatory, and then resurrected everybody. That would be like the best ride ever.
All of the revenants are now the BYG characters of 2016.
That'd be amazing. And they're hot for revenge. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. That would be great. Yeah, exactly.
You're like, damn it, now I can't tell this story because it came up on a panel.
I'm sure we can just do that without getting sued by other shows. Yeah.
They didn't want those characters. We should take them.
Yeah.
We want them.
There you go. Yeah.
And fire.
Yeah, amazing. Guys, this is great. Season 4 is going to be awesome.
Yeah. And so cheap.
It's so cheap. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I think we're out of time, according to Heather. I don't know where she went now. So...
Are we done?
Are we done?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So just real quick, the LGBT Fans Deserve Better TV scoring demo is officially completely live.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Yay. So you can see all of our scoring system, and if you watch TV, which I think most of you do, and you want to like run a stopwatch and put those times and notes into the thing, then scoring.lgbtfansdb.com. You can help us out and help us collect data. The more voices we have, the more accurate the data will be. So we appreciate all your help. So that is officially live. And if you need that again, then come find me or yeah.
Thank you, Shelbie.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you guys.
Thank you all for coming.
You're doing the Toronto. You're doing the